As the people of Augustana, we are gathering around the theme of faithful, hopeful, loving, drawn from 1 Corinthians 13. This week's focus is loving. St. Paul writes in the second chapter of Philippians, Jesus emptied himself, taking the form of a servant. He humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Listen now as we hear from others here at Augustana about their experience of loving.
This may not make sense. I was at a thrift store one day, and there was an old gentleman who obviously just had nothing. And he was putting coats in his cart, and I asked him if I could give him some money, and he took it, and he said bless you and everything. But I felt so blessed to be able to do that, and I felt that God loved me enough to point me in that direction, because it wasn't me doing it.
I've got to go back to, I'm going to say 34 years ago, when I married Carrie. That was love, and it's been love ever since. Some people, my family probably gets tired of hearing it. We've been married all those years. We've never even had an argument. We love each other, and that's God's love. That's a part of that from the very beginning. Our vows were with God, and that continues to this day. And as they say, I love you more. Everybody writes that on a greeting card. I love you more every day. I do. And for us, we do. And it's we're looking forward to all the remaining days we have together because we have God's love.
For Carolyn and I, it's been a real experience of sharing love as grandparents when that happened. And all of a sudden, we have 5 grandchildren. Our daughter had twins, so that kind of doubled it in a hurry, but we have five grandchildren. And so this summer, we all were together from Boone, and my son lives in Des Moines, and my daughter lives in Florida. And we all met in Branson, and my sister and brother-in-law from Minnesota joined us, and he's a pastor, and he baptized the twins on Table Rock Lake. And it was just such a feeling, again, in this crazy COVID world, that we could all be together out in the country at a resort, socially away from other folks. We had standalone cabins. We weren't in a motel. And we're all down at the lake, and having my brother-in-law, Pastor Wayne, baptize those 2 little twins was just a real overwhelming feeling of love, God's love and family love, and 5 little grandkids. The oldest one is 8, so 5 kids that are our future, and our, as we said earlier, our hope and feeling of love really, really stood out on that day.
I remember when Denny Erb came back after his whole
challenge.
episodes that he had, the challenges that he had, because I remember praying for him at church and praying for him every morning when I do my prayers. And then he was there that Sunday, and it was just so neat to see that God had helped with his healing. And there was a lineup. I lined up and wanted to give him a hug and say, hey, we're so glad you're healthy and you're back with us. And there was a whole lineup of people that wanted to do the same thing. It was just really cool.
We'll have to go back to me, I guess, when I got sick just about a year ago. And for about 2.5 weeks, I just didn't know anything. And it wasn't so much love, it was love for the family.
We had a lot of people come through.
A lot of
pastors were coming down, and
and it
was good.
I didn't know what was going on, but all my kids were there, all 4 boys, and my cousins were there, and Sharon was there, and the pastors were down, and it was just
people were praying from all these different churches. I mean, it wasn't just Augustana. Methodist was praying for him. The other Lutheran church was praying for him. It was widespread. There were several churches in Des Moines praying for him. So it was wild.
Relation that I knew, they, you know, put me on their prayer chains and got me through this.
Yeah.
So
Powerful words, powerful witness from our fellow members at Augustana. You are invited to consider this invitation to be loving followers of Jesus.